Well, discipline and patience. That's a lot what silver's about, or anything that's involved with investing. Not getting too emotional, not expecting too much too fast sometimes, and also not being afraid to part with something you think is a great investment when it does have tremendous gains. Now, it could be tremendous, can be defined in a lot of different ways. We've seen Bitcoin take on more gains than who the hell knows what, but I have to comment a little bit about that. I noticed like Mike Maloney and stuff was and now he's talking about Bitcoins. Guys, this is what got me even about with Brother John F. a long time ago, when he started talking about you must have physical silver. Then he started talking about Bitcoins. The whole thing was about principle too. Yeah, I guess you could say the Bitcoins are outside the banksters, but I ain't so sure about that, to tell you the truth. I ain't so sure. I go back to the old school principle all the way about, physical money. Physical money. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this stock market thing because, I've been talking about the stock market possibly resetting for since mid last year, 2013. Actually, I guess when I really started talking about it was when I found out about George Soros's bet mid-August of 2013 on a short in the S&P. He made a big bet on short in the S&P as of August 2013. So I figured possibly it was going to go down in October when they have, the budget fights. And, it could have, and it could possibly happen in early 2014. But just remember, this is right now is the third longest run up in the stocks, bull run in stocks and equities in U.S. history in the last 100 years. It's the third longest. If the equities still keep going up into July, that would be the second longest bull run ever. The longest bull run ever. Right now, the two that beat it out is the one when we had that crash. It was 81, 87. 87, we had the stock market crash. I think it was October, the one that Mark Faber predicted. He predicted that one way back when nobody was predicting it. He said, oh yeah, it's going to keep going up forever. And it didn't. He was the only one that predicted it. He's saying, he's been warning about this. But, nobody knows exactly the pinpoint time. Now, if it keeps going up like this till July, that would be the second highest, longest run it ever had, except for the time in the 20s when we had the stock market crash in 1929. Now, during that time and age, you could definitely say that, with the new industrialization, new machinery, and everything else that was coming out at the turn of the century and all the way up until the 20s and after the end of World War I, a lot of people thought that, we're going to probably have permanent prosperity, but, such was not the case. So anyway, this is one thing where I have to put it in common sense perspective that, this is not going to keep going. Actually, if anybody's telling you to invest in equities right now, actually, that's what the major media is telling you, and they're kind of coyly telling you possibly, expect a 30% correction or a 40% correction. But if that happens, that's just part of the game because you need some stock exposure. They're throwing that line out there. But Goldman Sachs also warned us blatantly that they think the stocks are getting pricey after, which is a change of opinion from not that long ago, right? So, anyway, it could be even more than a 30-40% correction. But like I said, they got the tools at their disposal to keep the correction down. But when they're exercising these tools, they can also be creating inflation in other areas, like the metals or something, or energy or food. So there you go, right? Now, the gold prices have actually corrected. When it went down at 1,200, that was a Fibonacci level. Now, Jim Rogers talks about below 1,000. He's talking about another Fibonacci level that is less common. Actually, the 1,200 is the most common fit the 38% correction. That's the most common Fibonacci level right there. You know, he's talking it could go a little bit below 1,000, being a 50% Fibonacci level, but that's even less common. But you know, I'm throwing a little bit of analysis out here with the tech because you know that's important too, but it's not the whole thing. But the 38% Fibonacci level is more common. It went to it twice, so it went to the 1200 level twice. That could be considered a double bottom. And you know, a double bottom is the inverse of a double top, which is, you know, it's in other words, it's getting ready to change direction in an upward movement. When it's a double bottom, usually when it's a double top, that means you peaked out and you're going to see, you know, a downslide. You know, we saw a double top in gold back from September 6, 2011 to February 28th, 2012. That was a double top in gold, and then it went down from there. So we're probably going to see up from here, even though it's not going to be like up like this. It's, you know, usually gold and silver and everything makes most of its gains when it gets into the next bubble, basically, and then, you know, it resets. I don't know how fast it'll happen. Maybe quickly, maybe not. I don't know. It could if the stock market has problems. So, you know, classic 101 theory here. The stock market already has been in the third longest bull run ever in U.S. history, or basically in the last 100 years, if you want to say that, U.S. history. And the only other time, there was two other times you had a longer bull run than this, was in the 80s up to 87, and in the 20s up to 29. The one in the 20s was the longest bull run ever. So if this bull run we have right now continues, and it continues up to July, it's actually going to be that we're going to go into the second high, the longest bull run we've ever had. So that's an important point. You know, that's where, you know, you thinking gold can't go that high. You know, it can go really high. It can go really high. This is just a 38% Fibonacci correction, and it can go a hell of a lot higher than it is now. It can easily go to 3,000 or something. It could. It could. Now for this year, I don't know about going to 3,000 this year, but it could go there, and it can go past that. It can go to 5,000 even. It's ridiculous. So don't be selling out now, especially during the correction period, you know. And if you get caught in stocks, don't be selling out during stocks, you know, during the correction period, in equities too. Now, I want to say something about, you know, I was looking at something with what the hell was it? On RT, or the Breaking the Set, Abigail Martin, whatever the hell her name is. And I looked at something real briefly, maybe about a minute, and I saw one of the comments down there, and I says, you know, this is what I suspected, the whole deal with this deal. And actually, this is the problem when anybody gets money, because guys are stupid. I can tell you that right now, man. They're stupid as all hell. This one made a remark down in the comments on Abigail's thing, whatever else she had on there. Now, I don't like her. I think she's like, you know, even like as a woman, she looks like she reminds me of a third grade school teacher, you know, and hoity-toity and all this other shit. But besides putting out the communist propaganda from Russia, but some dork down there put some comment down there like, you know, I hope I win the lottery or something like that. So, because if I do and I have all this money, I'd ask you to marry me. And all these people thumbs up this shit. And I was thinking, holy shit, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot and a half. You know, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure, you know, if Abigail went back to the Kremlin, where she worked, where she comes from, where she gets paid from, you know, the oligarchs would probably pass her around, you know, like she's a piece of meat. Maybe they'd wash her off with a little bit of vinegar sauce, vinegar and apple cider vinegar and baking soda in between the oligarchs, but then some holy water. But you know, they would not be kissing her butt like some of these Amerikanskis out there. It's amazing. So I can imagine, you know, what happens if somebody's like has a 20-fold gain on silver. Bubba, you better keep your mouth shut. I'm telling you right now, keep your mouth shut. You know, you want to buy the latest high-tech refrigerator with computer gizmo with with the 4 rubber tires on it and drive around and impress Missy, you're gonna lose your money faster than it went up. That's all I gotta tell you. So anyway, I ain't doing that shit. I'll probably take a roll of coins and buy her 2 rat rods or some shit. Play hobo, you know what I mean? That's what I always do. That's what I always do. You know? So anyway, that tells me what's wrong with the average American male. Holy smokes. If I win a lottery, I'm going to give it to you, honey. Boy, oh boy. Anyway, thank you. Smart guy. Anyway, they say the Americans are sexist. Holy shit. It's the absolute opposite of Al-Qaeda. But anyway, the thing is, with this silver deal, the Chinese are looking at it when his price goes down a little bit. So what? So what? That's good. Oh, thank you. They didn't even say nothing. They just, and they put the gears into action. They get a little bit of their Chinese yuan or renminbi, whatever the hell it is, and they trade it out and they get some gold and silver. That's all they do. That's all they do. They're like, so what? The real silver pumpers are the ones that are going, it's going up, we got the bigsters on the run. You don't got anybody on the run, you dumb jerks. You're just trying to make some money. That's what you're trying to do. And, by doing this, you can't be overexcited one way or the other. So when it goes up, you can't be like, oh, we got them crushed, we got them destroyed, and oh, the silver's this many dollars. And well, that's because you better be selling some of that shit, at least some of it, at least. Because, it's not going to stay. I always seen an old lesson with any of these metals. Is, even if, say, silver, even if it winds up being $125 an ounce, as an ultimate price long range, if it gets up to some price like that, and that's its like steady price in the future, like some years down the road, I'll guarantee if it got up that high, it probably went to like at least $400 or $500 in between that. It's never going to just go up and plateau. It's going to go up like a rocket, peak, come down like a rocket, come down like a freaking rock, go up like a rocket, that type of stuff. So, I mean, if you're like totally married to these metals and you just say, oh, I can't depart with them, forget about it. You're already lost. But it's going to be very, very, very difficult to actually say how high is high. Because, getting double or triple on an investment is outstanding as all hell. You see, in today's climate, with Warren Buffett warning us about paper currencies, and what maybe, and I'm not talking about this year, I'm talking maybe several years down the road, 2017, even maybe 2018. That's when we might see the metals go to the stratosphere like you just couldn't believe. Now, personally, I listen to a little bit of like what Mike Maloney says, a little bit what David Morgan says quite some time ago. But, anybody that like starts talking about electronic money like that's going to save you, that's just, I mean, you should just be telling me about derivatives too. There's a lot of stuff out there you could be talking about, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways you can leverage things too. I mean, that's kind of stuff I don't understand. But I know there's some, I've heard a lot of stuff and that I was involved with, supposedly they could drive things up like many times within a day on some of these options and stuff, like nothing. These are people that were PhDs. They know this stuff inside out. I mean, I don't want to get into that kind of shit because I think it's hocus pocus garbage. I don't like that type of stuff. I always stayed with like construction accounting, that type of stuff. I know a little bit about the miners too, but they produce something that's real for people. So if you're looking at what the efficiency is of the operation through the numbers, you're making a contribution to something that's actual real production of goods and services. I don't like this other shit like bitcoins and stuff like that and derivatives, and I don't like it. I just don't like it. I think it's like snake oil. That's all you're playing. I mean, if I was going to do that, I'd just go work at a casino. I mean, what the hell? I think that would be more fair than anything. Or just be a professional gambler all the way. which I think would be more of an honest thing to do than some of those other garbage out there, because these electronic investments, they hoodwink people. We'll find out about Bitcoins pretty soon, but I think that's going to be another one it's already looking like somebody's going to be hoodwinked there big time. Yeah, and by the way, I was talking about the retail sales of Christmas. It looks like a lot of people got slammed. Family Dollar store, I mean, you name it. Best Buy, they all got slammed for Christmas. So the economy's terrible. So the only thing that's holding up the stock market right now is the Fed spending. So if the stock market does correct, I mean, that's the end of taper. It's going to be the opposite. It's going to be QE times 2 or times 3 until the whole thing just blows up. And that's why Warren Buffett has been warning us about, dangers in paper currencies. So just be patient, have patience and discipline. It's going to play out. And if you're a gazillionaire and you want to give it to, you want to give all your money to Missy, she's going to eat you alive, man. She's going to eat you alive. That's all I'm going to tell you about that shit, because I don't know, man. I can't believe that. I was looking at that stuff with Abigail Martin and breaking the set and her fans on there, and I was like, if I win the lottery, I'm going to marry. I want to marry you. And the guy was serious. I was like, that's great. That's great. The reason the oligarchs got money is because they don't do that kind of shit. In Russia, like I said, if Abby went to Moscow, they'd probably take her and say, hey, Boris, you want it for 5 minutes? Here, take her. Throw her over there. You'd have her for, they throw it to the next Boris, the next Olag, or whatever the hell his name is, or, what the fuck, whatever names those guys got, Vladimir, Igor, you know what I mean? They'd be passing her around, not the Americans. Yeah, here's all my money. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that shit. I just couldn't believe that shit. I had a remark on this because that's stupid. And I'm not saying you should treat women mean or anything, but God, that's ridiculous. That's beyond ridiculous.